My name is Joseph Vitale. I lived in Verona all my life, which is 82 years. I was born in Cornwall and lived in Verona. As I say, for 82 years. I graduated high school in 1943. I was a member of the first football team in 1939, and that was our first game was against West Orange JV. I never forget it. My family, my grandfather came up from Newark in the 1920s, and he had a business in Verona in 1921. And back on July 4th in 1929, they had a big 4th of July parade with displays of trophies and so forth. And my grandfather won this trophy in 1929 as the best local display. I was involved in a lot of things in Verona, such as starting the community pool. We had a committee of about 20 people. We had to get 1,000 $10 pledges to people that would.
What year was that?
40 years ago. That was what, 1967. And we used to go out on cold January nights and get signatures and $10. And at that time, the mayor and council, which I believe Mr. McKinley was the mayor, we had to present it. And Mr. Steinman was the town administrator, and we fought, and we finally thought we had enough signatures, and we were at 20 short, so the Board of Ed, or the council gave us another week, and we got signatures, and Mr. Steinman had a lot hidden that we didn't know about, so that was passed, and it was built. But the pool was originally supposed to be built up where the high school parking lot is, but we ran into some problems with the Board of Ed and who was to control it and so forth. So we went up to where the town had this, I believe, 10 acres of land off of Mount Prospect, and we used that as the pool. Then I've seen, we were right after the war in '43. We had a Verona Lake Canoe Club, which we would have battles with other towns, with other lakes like Branchbrook Park and Weequahic Park, and it was quite a thing. And I can remember skating in Verona Lake in the wintertime, saying that there'd be 400, 500, 600 people. And my daughter Joni, who is now 52, living in Florida, and my daughter Nancy, who is now 50, living in Parsippany, they always said, "Dad, if there was one thing you ever did, was us growing up in Verona." She said, "We had great times, we had parties, we had a good school system, we had the park, we had the golf course for sleigh riding, there was no problems, no narcotics and everything, everybody got along." And I seen my graduating class in 43, I believe, was 76 people, and now they're up to double that. The town has doubled. I've seen things grow in Verona, like the Claridge House go up and all the apartments go up. And I think now in Verona that about 23 or 24% of our people live in Verona. We always had nice neighbors. There was never any problems. I saw in 1951 the trolley cars, which ran for years and years. We used to live on Bloomfield Avenue then, and the trolley cars went off in '51, and they now were replaced by the buses. I saw the Verona Theater go up, and I saw it go down. Where the Richfield Caters is now used to be a supermarket, and we lived across the street from it, and it's that now. And I've seen our school system grow, and I've seen our athletic programs grow from about, I think we had maybe 8 or 9 sports, to now we have close to 30 or 32. I was very much involved in keeping Brookdale Avenue School open. When I wanted to close it a few years back, we had terrific battles with that. And thank God I was in the middle of that. We still have that school today. God knows what would have happened if we closed those schools. Then we used to have in Verona right up until after World War II. We had the Verona AC, which was a semi-pro baseball team in the Essex County League, which included right down the line, Cole, Verona, Montclair, Glen Ridge, Bloomfield, Orange, East Orange, Belleville, and other. And back in those days, before television, they used to play the championship games behind which is now the junior high school. And they had wooden stands, and we used to get, I believe back in those days, 12 to 1,500 people. And a lot of people in that league went on to become major leaguers, like Jackie Ty, who managed the Detroit Tigers, Billy Johnson, Hank Baroli, who won a World Series game from Bloomfield. And that went on up until about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. It ran for years, and then it was difficult. We played our games at the high school field. I can remember when Verona High School field was owned by the city of Newark. It was the Verona City Home up there, and people used to come up that were problems from Newark, and that was sold, I don't know how long ago, but the town of Verona bought the whole parcel of land, which includes Dodd Terrace, from the city of Newark for $25,000. And eventually they sold part of it, which is now Dodd Terrace, and then we had the high school, which is up there now. And I've seen our police department grow from a small, maybe 4 or 5 man force to the nice force that it is now. And the nice thing about living in Verona, we have a good school system, we have a good recreation department, we have a good police department, we have a lot of facilities for sports and so forth. And I am happy, and I've been here 82 years, both my wife and I. Been married 56 years, and we both figure that regardless of what, we're going to stick it out in Verona. And we figure we were lucky to be here in Verona all these years. And I was involved in a lot of political campaigns for council and for Board of Ed members and so forth. And now that we're having our 100th anniversary, as I say, I saw the developments of all these apartment houses, and I saw the development of the sports complex up at Lynn Drive, and I was involved many years ago in the first Little League baseball team. I can remember people that are still around, by Pete Tillison. There was Cliff Morehouse, there was Randazzo, there was myself, and we started that. Then a few years later, I was involved with Bob Watson and Joe Stavali and a few others. We got the Verona Eagles going. At that time, there was Verona, West Orange, East Orange, Fairfield, Cornwall. We had about 5 or 6 teams, and my daughter was a cheerleader on that first, on the first Eagle team, and then later on she became a cheerleader at the high school. And Verona High School, for a school its size, has won a lot of state championships. Had a lot of kids go on to play major college football. 2 of our players played on national championship teams, one in 43 at Alabama, and one in 75 or 6 at Pittsburgh. The high school program under Al Vitale got over $1.5 million of scholarships to kids in and out of Verona. And our first football game was in 1939, and we've played 610 or 12 football games since then, and I must have seen at least 450 of them. And right now in football we have about a 61% winning ratio, and I'll go into sports a little bit. Of some of the great coaches we had Mr. Warmouth, who was probably one of the best football coaches at his time in the state. We had Mr. Tom Morris, who was a great baseball coach. George Steamboat, who had a record with soccer. We had Doug Gaffney in baseball. At one time, I considered Verona High School having the best coaches in the state in football, basketball, and soccer, and that was with Steamboat, Rotella, Morris, and Gaffney. Now, that's a little history of the sports. I've seen a lot of development in Verona. A lot of projects go up, like Lynn Drive, and developments off of Ann Street, and and a nice development up at the community center, which I understand in another week or two we're going to have a beautiful turfed field with lights and everything. And
I am from Pennsylvania originally, as I said before. We're married 56 years. That's how long I'm living in Verona. I'm a registered nurse. I had my training at Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn. I haven't been back since I graduated. I worked at Montclair Community Hospital for 20 years. I worked at Kessler Institute for 5 years, and I worked private duty for 5 years. And then I retired, and I'm happily retired. I volunteered at a consignment shop in Caldwell, and I play bridge on Wednesdays, and I go to Atlantic City once a month. And I'm very happy, and our children are happy. They're happily married. We see the one in Parsippany frequently. We're going to Florida and to see our other daughters in September. So we keep in touch, and we're healthy, thank God. And that's all I have to say. There's skating on Verona Park here. And here is the Verona Lake. Was not the only recreation spot. The Montclair Golf Club moved to Verona.
Yeah,
In 1890s, the Montclair Golf Club, which is up here, and then it burned down.
And in those days, you were taken by trolley car from Newark and so forth up to where, you know where Morley's Tavern is? You let off there on your horse buggy down to the lake where the tennis court is now, and you would go swimming in there, and right where the tennis court is now was a merry-go-round. And across the lake was a food concession. And they used to have, as I say, as it shows you in that book, they used to have tryouts for Olympics and so forth. And two of the greatest skaters to come out of Verona were Mayor Dave Slayback's son and Ray Beam, who used to be a realtor in Verona for many years. He was, I could still remember him skating, as a kid.
And here's the game booths and everything at the park, which we'll be recreating on July 4th. They'll have a lot of activities down there. So that's the picture of
We used to have the
Granger's Picnics.
We used to have we had the Verona.
And that was the major event at the lake, was
Yeah.
Granger's Picnic.
Yeah.
Would you believe it?
Yeah.
Which was a combination of country fair and carnival.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have both rowboats and canoes were available. They're the canoes then, and the canoes now.
Another thing about Verona, there used to be, and I can remember when I was a kid at Skeleton. You live on what street?
Hamilton.
All right, you go down to Hamilton where the Verona, where that condo place is there.
Oh, Wedgwood Gardens.
No, up on Bloomfield. When you came right out of Park Avenue in Claremont, there was a big hotel up there, believe it or not. And
Okay.
and I can remember seeing the skeleton of it for years until they developed that. But
did you know that, perhaps hard to believe, that at one time people actually swam in Verona Lake?
oh yeah, they used to come up by the bar.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, sure. When we had this canoe club, we used to go swimming in there. We had the Verona Lake Canoe Club.
Oh, and they
which was
had
the
a lot of a
McCuskers
formal
and
picnic
so forth.
grove was complete with tables and everything in Verona Park
yeah,
years
it was-
ago.
yeah.
They don't have the tables there now, do they?
Yeah, and we did. Mayor Slayback was mayor of Verona, I think, for 22 or 24 consecutive years, and he used to be out there controlling the traffic on Bloomfield Avenue. And
That name has been in Verona for
yeah,
a long time.
yeah. Well, he was
But
a
here
mayor
among-
for 26 years.
Here also, among the new amusements added to Verona Lake, was a small passenger train.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we used to take you up and down.
In the park.
Then in Verona Park, also during the summertime, for the kids around this area, the county supplied a recreation director, and we used to have, remember his name, Mr. Molikoff, and he was in charge of. We had games. We had there was a little baseball field right where the tennis courts are now, and we used to have play baseball there, and he used to be our recreation director, as I said, and we had Butch the cop. I never forget him. He was a great guy. He had the park was patrolled by 2 policemen and he used to give us riding in sidecars, and they'd go around. There was never any problems. And then we had, at that time, 6 full-time people that kept that park as one of the, I think, at the second best in the state. And during the winter time, they used to keep the snow, and they used to have big shovels that they used to walk across and take all the excess snow off the lake. And we used to go into the, pay 10 cents to check our shoes, and it seemed to be, in those days, from the first week in December until February, where you going? We're going to the park skating. Where you going? To the park skating? It seems we had we had we had skating for 2 or 3 months every year. It was just like an everyday thing. What are you going to do? We're going to go to the
And
park.
then it was a
just-
lot when Joni and Nancy were growing up.
Yeah, it
but
was a
then-
lot there.
But then it started to slow down a few years.
Well, the weather got warmer.
Weather
I
got
don't
warmer.
know. It wasn't.
But anyway-
a lot of people thought that it was because of the insurance, but believe it or not, you're skating at your own risk down there.
Anyway, also here, there's a steam launch that was on.
Yeah,
there.
that used to be a paddle boat.
Yes,
Bob Williams
right.
said.
And
used to
then
take-
also, south of the new boathouse was a large merry-go-round they had in the
Yeah, I
park.
told about
Yeah.
that. It was
Oh,
right,
you
right,
did?
right,
I did recollect
by
that,
where
Joe. I'm
the
sorry.
Tennis courts are now.
Yes,
Oh,
how about that?
and then you know why that island was put there, don't you?
For the trestle.
The trestle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then between the brook and Lakeside Avenue, I guess it's in there too, there was a grist mill. You knew that, didn't you?
Nope, didn't know
Yeah,
that.
there was a grist mill in there. I don't know who it was owned by, but it was there for many years. And
Potato digger.
then the dam was destroyed around 1910 or 20, and then it was rebuilt, and it's over 100 years old now. And there's talk about rebuilding it in the next couple of years.
Did you know that several families along Lakeside Avenue had their own private boathouses on the west
Yeah,
side?
it sure tells you there's
Oh, I
something.
know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this was like a
I didn't know that.
Verona was like a country club.
And it did say Charles Williams, your friend Charles Williams.
That's Ellen Williams' father.
Yeah, it
Bob
said he's
Williams.
been married at home at the Verona Park Association, comprised of David Slayback, John Slayback, Charles Williams, and J.E. Williams.
And how about Mrs. Cook?
Just as her homage.
Oh no! Oh, I'm an aunt. That's
Called
right.
A small
You know where
Chester
aunts
grandmother
live?
filled with family
You go down.
keepsakes.
You go down Park Avenue, and as soon as you go where Mountain View Road goes up to the right there, I think Swartz lives in there now. They lived back in there, and my grandfather had a business on Bloomfield Avenue, and his property ran from Bloomfield Avenue, which is now
It's this condominiums.
yeah. What's the name of it?
421 condominiums.
Yeah, I forget the name of it, but they went from there all the way down to the brook and went back 100 and some odd
They had
feet.
goats.
Boats, and
Goat cheese.
yeah, we had a lot of animals. It was like a farm. And as I say, he was a peddler, and then he came up and he bought property in Verona, and he had a big house and all that property, which we sold to the Desiderius, who built that present apartment house that is there now. And it was a small town. When you saw in those days, when you saw 20 or 30 people in the park, it was a mob. Believe it or not, they had a little place for parking cars, maybe about 10 cars, and you go out and you walk around at night. They didn't have the lights at night. They had some lights, but it was, you'd walk around and people used to go canoeing, and they had lights on the lake, and they had life preservers all around. And as I would say again, living in Verona was a great experience. And right now, at the age of 82, I'm so secure in Verona that I'd be insecure if I moved out of it.
So that's a lot of things about Verona Lake, right?
Yeah, in Verona, the town of Verona. Next to F.M. Brown School used to be the Jennings Farm.
On Forest Avenue?
No, I like on Grove.
Grove.
And when we were kids, and they used to have the haystacks or the corn stalks up, and we used to go down and tackle them and have fun. And then, of course, further down where Laurel Court is now, that was all owned by the Jacobuses. They had a farm there for years. It went all the way up to the pool. And they sold that, and now it became Lynn Drive and all those houses in there.
There's big changes in 82 years, right?
Oh, the town changed 3 or 4 times. But I lived in this town all my life. I used to go up to the pool. I know everyone. And now you go up there, it's difficult. Take this street now. We're the second oldest family on this street. There's the Rockles and us. We've seen this street change 2 or 3 times. We've seen the town change in population 2 or 3 times. We've seen our school system grow. And
where the furniture store now was Evanson's, the family store.
Yeah, you knew that, didn't you? Where
furniture store.
Parkview was a furniture store.
Was Evanson's clothing store.
And then there was a bakery.
Where Ronja Quest is now.
Where Ronja Quest is now, and she was I forget her
German
name.
baker.
German baker. She used to give us 13 for
Baker's dozen.
Baker's dozen.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm German, so I really appreciate that.
One time across the street, which is now the Verona Pizza, there was a baker by the name of Cavino, and he used to win contests for baking and so on and so forth. And back in the 40s, Doc Geltz, who the field was named after, used to have a camp up in Vermont, and at winter time, he used to take about 15 or 20 of us up there skating at Mount Mansfield. And in those days, it cost $50 for the whole week, for the trip, for the skiing, for the food, for everything. We used to drive up, and that was a big thing. A lot of us used to go up to that. And as I say, the first football game, we played West Orange JV, and then we used to play Corwell, and it always used to be played at Corwell. And the first Verona football games were played behind the present middle school. Did you know that? And then they moved up to the lower field, and then they went up to the upper field. And then there was 2 things I remember. The first time we defeated Corwell, I guess Bucky Hatchett was in it around 1945. We marched down from Corwell with the band to Verona, and then Verona had an unfortunate string of 32 or 33 consecutive losses. And the day we won our first game after that loss. No, we beat Mountain. That's Mountain High, and the people went crazy. And then from then on we've had good football programs.
Good memories, Joe. Right?
Yeah, baseball.
He still goes to home.
I just want to end by saying that I lived in Verona for 82 years, and I loved every minute of it. And I hope God gives me a few more years to stay here with my wonderful wife.